Hi, my name is Hollan. I'm 30 years old and I'm currently diagnosed with small cell carcinoma of the ovary. I love my dogs, most importantly. I love my plants, second importantly, and then my family. Um, just kidding. But I do love my family and my friends very, very much. And that's a little bit about me. I had symptoms starting in November of 2023. It was right around Thanksgiving. And I had really, really bad pain in my abdomen and underneath my stomach. And my stomach was extremely bloated. And I just had no idea what was going on. I actually thought that it was gas pain because I had just never had it before. Funny story, I actually had my best friend try to massage the gas pain out, but it turns out that it was cancer. So that didn't work. Um, but yeah, so I was having very bad bloating. I had a lot of pain underneath my stomach. So I'm was also having hot flashes and feverish. And the day that I went to the doctor originally, they dismissed me. They told me that I had a severe UTI and to go home on a lot of antibiotics. So the next day, when it had gotten worse overnight, um, I went to the ER and they told me that the antibiotics hadn't had enough time to work. So to go home again. Very frustrated at this point, obviously. So it was Thanksgiving the next day, and my mom had actually noticed that I gained a lot of weight in my stomach, and we just didn't understand why. So the next day, we actually went to another doctor, and she wanted to send me home on a Bratz diet, saying that I had a very bad stomach virus. So it was only when she left the office and my mom walked out to find her again because I was inconsolable. I knew something was wrong, and just no one was taking me seriously. And so my mom went and talked to the doctor and just said, "Hey, we've got to figure something out here." So with resistance, she did order a CAT scan at the doctor. And almost immediately after I returned to the room, two doctors came into the room and they did not look okay. They ended up saying that I had a lot of fluid in my abdomen and my lung, and that I had a giant mass in my abdomen. So my reaction was, well, damn. And I said, where does that come from? Or what does that mean? And they just said, it's bad. And that's all they said. So they immediately sent me to the hospital. I don't remember the next hospital visit, but I do know that the surgeon that we were looking at, um, first of all, they had found 19 pounds of fluid in my abdomen and a giant mass the size of a volleyball in my abdomen. Um, so that was obviously like very shocking to hear. So they were going to do surgery exactly a week from that day. And I just knew that I absolutely could not handle the pain any longer. Um, so my mom ended up finding another doctor at a really reputable hospital in where I'm from, Alabama. And so we went there. They did the surgery Monday when that was a Friday. So they did it immediately. They knew that it needed to be taken out immediately. So on December 4th of 2023, I had a major surgery of them taking out the mass, and they also were able to take out the fluid as well. And we had to wait for the path report. Unfortunately, we had to wait for about a month. So we just were sitting there not knowing what it was. We assumed it was cancer, but we just really didn't know. The doctors didn't know. We were really just kind of at a loss. And I ended up in the hospital. I had a massive GI bleed. I vomited 2 liters of blood. And then I just kept on vomiting and kept on vomiting blood until they uh, did a bedside surgery for me. And this has nothing to do with cancer, but it was a bedside emergency surgery. And afterwards, they did not sedate me correctly. So I was awake and I was experiencing everything that was happening. I was completely paralyzed and could only see black. It was honestly probably the worst thing I've ever experienced. Moving forward, a couple days before Christmas, me and my mom and my dad were shopping, and I met with my mom and I got in the car, and she said, so I talked to the doctor. I said, oh, okay. And she said, so it is cancer. And I was just in my head, I was like, it has to be like a small cancer. Like it can't be like a real cancer, which is ridiculous, but that's just what the thoughts I was going through. So the first question that I had was, am I going to lose my hair? Because I had really thick, long, curly hair down to my hips, um, and she said, yes, you're going to have to go through chemo. And honestly, I broke. I just absolutely was inconsolable. I was crying, and because I just thought, this can't be me. This can't be like, this just can't be real. I was just in denial. My sister, my mom, and my sister-in-law were immediately deep diving into research. After my doctor at my original hospital told me that he had no idea how to treat this. He had never heard of it before. And the whole hospital had only seen this cancer 2 times. So he just did not feel comfortable with treating me. So that's when my family started looking into research on who can treat me and how can I get through this. And so immediately upon researching this on the internet, they found a doctor in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is 8 hours away from where I live. And he responded almost immediately. He's a specialist specifically for this type of cancer. And he told us we needed to be there. We were in Cincinnati on Tuesday. And we got to talk to him. He did mention to me that I had, so my other doctor mentioned that I had stage 3B small cell carcinoma. This specialist mentioned that I probably had stage 4 looking at my scans. So that was the first time for me that I was like, but it was mostly because I saw my mom in the corner of my eye just take a huge breath, and to me, I was like, oh gosh, this is actually serious. I could actually die. It was within a week that I started chemo, and it was an extreme amount of chemo. Very rare. This whole regimen was very, very rare. And so I actually started chemo back at my original hospital because it's very cool that my original doctor got on the phone with my specialist and they ended up doing coordinated care. So I wouldn't have to leave. Yeah. So I wouldn't have to go all the way to Cincinnati. So we ended up doing all of my chemo rounds, I was supposed to have 6 rounds, but I only did 5 because I was a previous smoker, and one of the drugs causes lung issues. So I couldn't do round 6. So I ended up having to have my first big surgery during my cancer treatments, was called a HIPEC surgery. And that is when essentially the doctors go, it's like a 9-hour surgery. They go in and they put a ton of chemo all around, and heated chemo. So all inside of my insides, and just kind of toss me around a bit, and for about 9 hours, and call it a good day. And so I woke up with that, responded really, really well to it. He told my mom that, well, going back a bit, originally he told my mom that I probably wouldn't make it past 5 months. And that I didn't know about that until recently. And now it's been 6 months and I'm disease free. They actually saw that in my surgery, that they were preparing my mom that they were going to find a lot of live tumors, but they took them all out and none of them were alive. So I'm officially declared, what is it called? No evidence of disease. And after 2 years, I'll be able to say that I'm cancer free if I stay on this trail. I ended up just shaving my head. I did not want to go through the trauma of watching my hair come out or feeling my hair come out in the shower or brushing it. I just really wanted to avoid that whole aspect. And I really just wanted to have the control of this and not have cancer control me. And So it worked out well. I still sometimes don't recognize myself in the mirror. Um, but it is what it is. If I'm alive and don't have hair, I will take that gamble. So it's not as big as a deal as I thought it would be. I got very, very lucky with my side effects of my chemo, because it's such a really horrendous treatment that I was told that even the treatment could kill me alone. Um, but I did get very, very bad mouth sores, which I thought was the worst. Like that is just no joke. And that I just slept. I just slept the whole time. I will say though, kind of the long-term effects that I've had is severe hearing loss. So now for the rest of my life, I'll have hearing aids, which I do now. Um, I also have really bad neuropathy in my hands and my feet, so I can barely feel them. And then I have my kidney function is very, very low, all due to one specific drug. Um, but yeah, so going into the treatment that I'm about to do, which is a stem cell transplant, they are very worried about my kidneys, just because the function is so low because of chemo. I'm doing a stem cell transplant because that's just part of the regimen. That's the very last step before of this kind of cancer. So the preparation, I really have not started except for a lot of testing just to make sure that I'm still disease free and make sure that my body's in the shape that it needs to be. But I do know that the stem cell transplant process is 8 days of very hard chemo and then 1 day of rest and then new cells completely the next day. As far as mental health goes, I've had a real history with that in my life. I'm diagnosed borderline personality disorder, which is a very severe disorder. So I've really had a really horrific history with mental illness. And this might sound strange, but I'm the strongest and most stable I've ever been in my life right now. I really would like to say that my history with extreme mental illness issues has really prepared me for the war that this is now. Me and my mom are the closest we've ever been because she's been on this journey just really every second. She's been having her own journey with this. And so I feel okay. And I think the hardest part was just seeing the what it was doing to my family, because I just really did not know that I was expected to die until about a month ago when my mom was open to me about that. She had always told me not to Google anything, so I didn't. I still to this day have not Googled anything about this cancer, because she just wanted me to get through this and her to deal with everything else, which is just a hero move, really. Cancer has absolutely changed me and changed my mindset about life and death. I have always been very comfortable with death um, because I wanted that. I didn't want to be here at all. I just sought death in every move that I made most of my life. And now that I'm like actually faced with a life and death situation, I just see that I want to live. I have a very, very strong will to live now. And I don't, that has been the biggest 180 that I've ever experienced in my life. Um, After so many years of trying to take my life, like now that something else is trying to take my life, I'm like, no, you can't have this. This is mine and I will have it until the day that it's naturally time for me to go, you know? So it's just been a huge change. It's been a very pleasant change for my mom. It's been a very pleasant change for everyone around me. Just because again, I'm not just like trying to destroy myself. I'm really just have a will to live. And that's been the biggest change that I've been able to experience that I'm just so grateful for.
In all of us, no wizard that there is or was is ever gonna bring me down.
If I were to have a message for anyone that's listening or hearing this, it would be to listen to your body, advocate for yourself. And if you can't advocate for yourself, someone in your life can. Um, and also you just have to get through it. It's gonna suck. It really, really is, but you just have to get through it. And whatever that means to you, make it be what you live for. And what I live for is my family and my friends and my dogs and music and sunsets and butterflies, like just every little thing that could possibly be what could hold me here. What has held me here. So I just hope that you can find something that will hold you here.